Perek Chav Tes Pasuk Yud Ches. I don't know what page it is, but Yaakov comes to Lavan, and Lavan, he's there for 30 days. Page 150, top line. Vayomer Lavan, Achatzu v'soriata, you're my flesh and blood. In other words, you were related. Vayeshev imo chodesh yamim. So Yaakov is there for a month. And Rashi points out that even though he was there for a month, he didn't freeload. He was working. Yaakov was already working as a shepherd during that first month. And then in the second line he says, Vayomer Lavan leYaakov, achi achi atov avatani chinam. I mean, just because you're my brother, you should work for free. Hagida li ma maskurtecha. Tell me what your price is. So the commentaries point out that Lavan, people relate to other people very much the way they think of themselves. So Lavan says to Yaakov, "What, are you my brother and you're going to work for me for free?" Meaning, I know that if I was you, nothing is, you don't give nothing for nothing. There's going to be something. There's got to be a price here. So what? How much you want? Tell me what your price is. Let's get it out in the open now, because anyway it's going to come up later. So let's get it out in the open now. So he says Lavan has 2 daughters, and Yaakov wants Rachel. So he says to him in Pasuk 18, Vayehav Yaakov es Rachel, Vayomer Evadcha sheva shanim b'Rachel b'traktana. I will work 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. Now this has become a colloquialism. When you want to make something clear to somebody and leave nothing to the imagination, you say, tell him, Rachel bitcha haktana. Make it clear. In other words, Yaakov said to him, I want your daughter Rachel. Well, he might have more than one daughter, more than Rachel. There are a lot of Rachels around here. Bitcha, your daughter Rachel. Right? Might have another Rachel from another wife. Haktana, the younger one. Right? Let's not play games here. And that's why it's become a colloquialism that you say to somebody, when I want you to know exactly what, be home at 10 o'clock with the car and no beer on your breath. I mean, clear. Clear. Be home at 10 o'clock. Rachel b'traktana. This is what I want from you. Don't they? Well, come home around 10. Around 10. I know when a yeshiva guy, in another yeshiva, I'll say the guys are tired in the morning. I say, what time did you go to sleep last night? I don't know, around 1-ish. Around 1-ish means about 3:30. That's what around 1-ish means. Rachel b'traktana. This is what I want. This is how I want it done. And Yaakov makes it clear, and he still gets deceived. Okay? So Lavan says, okay. And then in Pasuk Chav, Vayavod Yaakov b'Rachel sheva shanim. Yaakov worked 7 years. Vayu beinav ki yamim achodim b'avosos. He loves her so much that the 7 years passed like it was like just a matter of a few days. Now that right there is counterintuitive, or certainly counter feeling. If you want something badly, so when you're when you need a lot of time. For example, your mother-in-law is coming in about a week and a half, right? How fast does that week and a half pass? Like a dream, So next thing you know, she's here, right? When you want something, and she's only here, she's here for a week and a half. How long does that take? It takes forever. You understand? And depending on your mindset is how long it takes. How long does Yom Kippur take when you're waiting to eat? Ugh. And every progressive hour takes even longer. It's like never look at the clock on Yom Kippur, by the way. The more you look at the clock, the longer it takes. If I tell you, okay, you've got a hold of, this used to happen in high school. We get a hold of the test. Don't tell anybody I said this. This is on film. I deny it. I'll sue you for slander. If we ever got a hold of the test before class, which happened periodically, like every test. So you only got 8 minutes to look it over. Those 8 minutes go flying past. Give me some time. Just give me some time with that paper, will you? Whenever something is good, it goes quickly. When something is, so if you want something, I can't wait for it to happen. Yaakov wants to marry Rachel. 7 years, and it passed like a matter of days. Why? Why would it be a matter of days? It should be the contrary. It should be to feel like it took forever. That's what it should have felt like. So the Mefarshim give 3 different reasons. Number one. And that's number one. Number 2 is, why does Yaakov, Lavan says, name your price. Yaakov says, okay, I'll work 7 years for Rachel. What do you start out at, I'll work a half a year for Rachel. Do I hear a year? Year and a half, 2, 3. What do you say, 7 years? And he agrees to it right away. I mean, if Lavan is agreeing to something right away, that must mean you named the price way over what he would have even thought to ask for. right? So obviously, Lavan's not Jewish, right? Because he agreed to it right away. That can't be, How can he agree to it right away? So what's going on? Why does Yaakov name such a big price? Why does it pass? It passes like that. So the commentators say like this. First of all, Yaakov purposely asks for 7 years. Because Yaakov is about to get married, he's going to start bringing about the tribes of the Jewish people. Yaakov feels, listen, I'm about to take on a project. When you go to medical school, before you get a license to kill people, you got to work 6 years before you can do that, right? It takes you 6 years till you can even get and if you want to do surgery, so it's 6 years plus another 4 years of specialization, then you can kill people. It takes a while till they're willing to put a blade in your hand, right? Even so, Yaakov says, listen, I'm about to start a new stage in life. I need preparation here. I need 7 years to get myself ready for this. And for what I'm about to do, 7 years it passes like that. It's like studying for a test. You've got 3 days to study for your finals. Oh boy. And you start cramming and the day time flies. When you need time, it flies. So Yaakov, wants to prepare himself. We got a spiritual pursuit here. So I need 7 years, first of all. Second of all, he also wants Rachel to see how much she's worth to him. You know how much you're worth to me? It's worth 7 years for you. It's a great gift for a wife. It's worth 7 years for you. Say to your wife, you know how much you're worth to me? It'll be 7 years, so I'll give you the credit card again. That's how much you're worth to me. Because, that's how much you're worth to me. Okay, don't try it, gentlemen. But except if you're on the way out of the house, right? But you're worth so much, it'll be 7 years. I need 7 years to prepare. And I want you to see, but more than that. One of the commentaries says, you see, Rachel, look, she's a product of her environment. Rachel is raised by a rat like Lavan, who's a schemer, a conniver, a deceiver. Yaakov wants Rachel, you're going to be the mother of the Jewish people here. You need an ulpan. You need to see that there is such thing as a person who works honestly and he lives honestly. I want you to study me for 7 years because this is what life is going to be now. You're moving into a different stage. And therefore, Yaakov works for 7 years. That's for Rachel's benefit. Let Rachel see what a person, and therefore, this entire package, if you get something, I did laser surgery years ago. And I had real thick glasses. I had a size 11, number 11 glasses. And I did laser surgery. So somebody asked me how much was it, So it came out to $3,200, It was the only surgery. They used to advertise it. I haven't seen it recently. Up to a couple years ago, they were advertising do laser surgery. It's $1,600. If you do 2 eyes together, it's a bargain price. It's like surgery at a bargain, at a discount. They're doing a surgery. And, you never saw a guy go, well, come in and have tonsils removed, a bargain price. Oh, this week only. A kidney's taken out. I got this week only, bargain price. So they used to do this. I had my laser surgery. I paid $3,000. So you guys said $3,000. Wow, that's expensive. I didn't think so. Not for a new set of eyes. For a new set of eyes, $3,000 to be able to see and I'd have glasses at $3,000. I thought that was a great price to have a guy and you're paying a surgeon. I didn't think this is relative to what you're paying. 7 years is a bargain price for a Rachel. I'm getting a Rachel out of this. 7 years it passed. I got a deal over here. Oh, you got a deal. It passes quickly. That's idea number one. Idea number two is that then there's always the idea that afterwards it seemed short. It could be that while it was happening, it seemed a little bit longer. But once you get past something, like, oh, wow, where do all the years go? Time flies. Okay. Now, Lavan then pulls a line over here. He pulls a deal. He pulls a switch. And we'll see what the switch is. This remarkable idea over here. So Yaakov works, and then in Pasuk 21, Vayomer Yaakov el Lavan, right in the middle of the page, all right, time to give me my wife. Vayesov Lavan es kol anshe hamakom v'yas b'shtei, makes a banquet. Vayiba erev vayikach es Leah bita v'yavay osa ela v'yavay. He sneaks in Leah. So in case you're worried about the logistics, how does that work? Obviously everything is dark and he doesn't know and it's all sneeze and so on and so forth. Okay. So the Gemara says, well, how did this work out? And the Gemara says not only that, Yaakov preempted Lavan, and he and Rachel made a set of signs. They made signs, because I know your father's going to try doing exactly this, what he did. So let's make a secret code. And then the Gemara says that when Rachel saw that Leah was going to be taken in and embarrassed in public, I mean, what would happen if all of a sudden Yaakov comes out and says, hey, what's going on over here? She didn't know the sign. This is the daughter. Terrible embarrassment for Leah. At that point, Rachel couldn't take it, and she gave Leah the signs. She passed on the signs to Leah, and then Leah gives Yaakov the signs, and that becomes that's how he pulls the snake. Now, there's a very big question here. That's what the Gemara says. So there are two very big questions here. Turn later for a second. Now remember, when Rachel gives up marrying Yaakov, she doesn't know she's going to marry him later. She's giving up her life in this world, and very possibly her life in the world to come. Because, who knows, there are rumors she's going to marry Esav. Yet she gives it up to save her sister the shame and the embarrassment. Okay? Now that brings us a big question. On page 154, it says like this, towards the bottom of the page. Now you have to see this, gentlemen. This is one of the most phenomenal concepts I've ever seen, phenomenal ideas, just phenomenal. It says like this, Vayelech Ruven b'mei kitzir chitim. Ruven goes out during the time of the wheat harvest. Vayimtza dudoim basoda. He finds these mandrakes. Some say these are actually what's it called to help people get pregnant? Fertility. Some say that it's a fertility weed of some sort. Vayave Yosam el Leah imo, brings it to Leah's mother. Leah's already had 4 children, and Rachel is barren. Vatomer Rachel el Leah tnina limi dudoy v'nech. Let me have some of those dudoy, which makes sense in the context of it being a fertility pill. She's barren. Vatomer lo. So Leah says, Hamaat kach teches ishi. Thank you, Moshe. Hamaat kach teches ishi. It's not enough. You took my husband. V'lekachas gam es dudoy beni. You also want you want the dudoyim. Okay, so tonight he'll come to your tent instead of my tent. Okay? I mean, Leah, Rachel brought you in. That's how you turn on her? What's going on? How could a Leah do something like that? How can you turn on her? She's asking you for, what? It's not enough you took my husband. Hey, Leah, listen, it's not for me. You wouldn't even be married to him. And what kind of ingratitude is that for a Leah? Leah's buried in the Maras HaMachpeah. Leah's a tzedekah. How could she say something like that? It bothered me year after year. I heard that question year after year, never had an answer. Okay.
Rabbi, why did Leah need that plant? That's really...
If it's not, if she wants to have more children, also we'll see. She wants to have more children.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and she also the Torah says Vatamod Bileda. She had stopped giving birth. Okay. Listen, I want to tell you something. There are frum women who could have 9, 10, 11 kids, or if they don't have such a small family, they have 13, 14, or 15 kids. They're frum women who have large families. They give birth, and all they're thinking about is, when am I going to have another baby? It's unbelievable. So I knew a woman who had about 11 kids. I think she had 11 kids, and she had what's called an ectopic pregnancy. I think it's called ectopic pregnancy, where what happens is the fertilized egg gets stuck in one of the tubes, one of the fallopian tubes, and in the worst, it's very painful when it happens. You only find out when the pain starts, and in the worst, sometimes they could vacuum it out, but in the worst scenario, they have to remove one of the tubes, one of the fallopian tubes, which means that she could only get pregnant every other month. There's a woman who had 11 or 12 kids at the time. She was absolutely distraught over the fact that her chance of having more children had just been cut in half. After that, she had another couple of kids. But she was distraught about, I know the one person, she was distraught. My goodness, aren't we going to have more children? She was absolutely distraught. So you get Leah has 4. She wants more. You want as many, so she's distraught. Okay, now. I had another question here, and I'll tell you how the two tie together, and this answers the question. So we have one question here, how can Leah turn on Rachel like that? The other question is that when the Gemara tells us about Rachel giving over the signs, so the Gemara says, B'schar tznius shehaisa b'Rachel. As a reward for the tznius of Rachel, tznius is the modesty of giving the discretion, being discreet, modest, is reward for her discretion. Rachel was rewarded. She had a descendant named Shaul, who was the first king of the Jewish people. Comes from the tribe of Binyamin. And Shaul himself was very discreet. The Gemara says that when he went, he lost, the Nach says he lost some donkeys. His father lost donkeys. So Shaul goes off to look for these donkeys. And they happened to be following the trail of the donkeys, trying to find these lost donkeys. So they ended up in the city of Shmuel, who's the prophet. So Shaul and his attendant, they go to Shmuel to ask him about the donkeys. That's what prophets were a good thing. You get tip on the market from the prophet. A lot of benefits having a prophet. So they go to Shmuel, and they want to know about the donkey. Shmuel says, forget about the donkeys. The donkeys were already found. Donkey, your father has his donkeys back already. I got different news for you. You are going to be the king of the Jewish people, and he anoints him. He anoints Shaul. Then Shaul goes back home, and his uncle says to him, so, what? Anything happen? Anything of interest happen? And Shaul says, no, we went this, that, and the other. He didn't say a word about being anointed the king. Doesn't say a word about being anointed the king. That's quite discreet. And can you imagine you go on a class trip to Washington, D.C., you're standing outside the gates of the White House, all of a sudden a bunch of Secret Service guys come out with a couple of big shot senators, and they pull you aside, and they say, Yoshua, we got news for you. You're the new president, right? Then you come home from your trip, your parents say, how was your trip to Washington? Did you see the Lincoln Monument? You know, and you tell them all about the trip, and you don't say, well, by my mom, dad, I got something more important to tell you. We're moving to the White House. Yeah, there'll be kosher meals. Yeah, they'll have kosher meals. First thing, kosher food. Yeah. And we don't have to clean it for Pesach. Yeah, somebody else will do it for us. Yeah, it's all good, right? You know, and Shaul doesn't say a word about it. As a reward for Shaul being so discreet, he had a descendant named Esther. And Esther was discreet as well. Where does all that ability to restrain yourself comes from Rachel Imenu? Okay. When I learned the Gemara, I had a question on that Gemara. What would you call it? A person who gives up the signals to her sister so her sister could get married instead of her, and she gives up such a thing. Yeah. Would you call it this being discreet? Is that the first thing that comes to mind? Yeah. What would you call it? Deceitful. Okay, we'll talk about unfaithful with the Yaakov, you mean. Okay, that's a different question. How could she break faith with Yaakov? But what she does is praised. You see, the Gemara praises what she does. Now, if you wanted to use an adjective for that to praise her, would you say, ooh, what an act of discretion, what an act of tznius? What would you call it? A sacrifice, selflessness. Why does the Gemara call it tznius? Why does the Gemara call it tznius? That's what was bothering me about the Gemara. Why? I mean, it's unbelievably selfless. It's unbelievably selfless. And tznius. And there's one opinion she was even in the room with them. So that when Yaakov spoke, she answered, so he heard her voice. Mind-boggling. Okay, mind-boggling. So why would you call it tznius? Not question number one. Question number two. Question number one, how could Leah turn on Rachel? Now listen to this answer. The Das Zakenim in Bali Tosfos. These are the Tosafists. They say, what were the signals that Yaakov gave to Rachel? You know, we think we've been reading too many espionage books. You know, Rachel with Yaakov. No. Yeah, okay, that's her. You know, that's what we're thinking of as signals. You know, you're talking to what do you call? I just read the Navajo Indians. The Navajo Indians in America were used in World War II because nobody knew the Navajo language other than the Navajo Indians, and the Americans used the Navajo Indians, helped apparently in the World War II effort to send signals to the front, because they sent it in Navajo to people who spoke Navajo, and there was nobody on the German side who spoke Navajo. And they were the only code, they had a code that nobody ever broke, right? So that's what we're thinking of, you know, some Navajo code. So the Das Game says, no, it's a little more sophisticated than that. You know what the code was? Yaakov taught Rachel the halachas that every Jewish woman needs to know when she gets married. The laws of Nida, Chala, and Hadlakas and air, lighting the candle. That's what it's called. Those three always go together. Nida, the Nida laws, the only purity. Chala, separating challah from the bread, and Hadlakas air, lighting the candle. That's what he taught Rachel. The night of the wedding, he was going to give her a test. Like when you want to get into a yeshiva, they give you a farher. When you enter the test, they give you a test on the Gemara. He was going to give her a test. And if she knew the answers, that's obviously her. When Rachel saw Leah going in, you know what she did? She came over to Leah and said, Leah, you're going to be marrying Yaakov. You know, there are halachas that every Jewish woman needs to know. She taught her the halachas of Nida, Chala, Hadlakas, and air, and she never told her that she was giving her the code. She just taught her the halachas. You know why? So that Leah should not have to feel any sort of gratitude to Rachel. I understand the level she's on. And when she goes in, Yaakov says to her, Nu, you know, laws of Nida, Allah. Leah knows all the answers. She never even knows what Rachel gave her. So then later on, when Rachel comes along and Rachel says, Leah, what do you call it? Can I have some of those? It's not enough you took my husband? She never even knew that Rachel gave the husband. You know what the tznius is? You know what the tznius is? How discreetly she did it. That's the tznius. To do it, maybe we can do it, maybe we can't. But to do it so discreetly that the person doesn't even know he owes you. Can you imagine? And then afterwards, listen, even if I could have got, let's say I was Rachel. Let's say I would have done everything she did. Let's say I could have pulled the whole thing off. But if afterwards I say to Leah, can I have some of those dudoim? And she would say to me, it's not enough you took my husband? At that point, if I was Rachel, I'd say, hey, Leah, I think we got to talk. There's a limit. And even then, she restrains herself. She says, oh, you're right. Okay, so he'll come to you tonight. He'll come to your tent tonight instead of my tent. Oh, that's the tznius of Rachel. That's how she gave up. That's how she gave up the birthright, the Yaakov Avinu. That's the greatness of a Rachel Imenu. You understand? Puts the whole thing in a different perspective. You know where this comes up for you, gentlemen? I'll tell you where this comes up. Imagine you walk into shul. There's a guy sitting in your seat in shul. Happens, right? I'm sure you've seen it happen to other people if it hasn't happened to you. Guy's sitting in your permanent seat. So there are three types of people when that happens. There's the first guy who just walks over and goes, you're in my seat. You're in my makom kavua. Out, right? He thumbs him out, okay? Slide in third, you're out of there, right? Okay? There's a second guy who goes all the way to the other side of the shul, doesn't even let the guy know that he's here in shul, so the guy shouldn't feel bad he's sitting in his seat. That's the tzaddik. He goes to the other side of the shul. That's where you have an opportunity not only to get, then there's the third guy. The third guy is a guy who walks back and forth about 6 times till the guy sitting in the seat looks up, he goes, oh, is this your seat? No, sit there. Yeah, but if I'm going to be a tzaddik, at least you should know about it. Make sure. At least, let's not. What do you go? All right, so at least he gives up his seat, but let's not make it. Realize that I'm one of the 36 of the generation. I don't want this to go unnoticed over here. You could actually go to the other side of the shul, sit there in a way the guy doesn't even know. You don't say anything to the guy. That's what Rachel did. Not only I gave it up for you, I didn't even tell you what I did for you, so that for the rest of our life, every time you look at me, you don't feel, oh, I owe her one. That's the greatness of a Rachel. Do you know that I was once in Bnei Brak, I went to get a bracha from Rav Chaim Kanievsky. So Rav Chaim Kanievsky is years ago, I went to get a bracha. I mean, I've gotten this several times. I went to get a bracha for something. So it was right before Mincha in Kol Chazonish. That's where he used to learn. So I went, I got a bracha, and it was about 5 to 1. 1 o'clock, they daven Mincha. So I saw a shtender there, and I started davening. I'm standing there for Mincha. And I noticed as I was about to start Shemona Esrei, Rav Chaim Kanievsky is standing in the aisle right by the window. And I daven Shemona Esrei, and he's davening right by the window and by the aisle. I'm thinking to myself, wow, Rav Chaim doesn't have a seat in the kollel, I'm by the window, davens in the aisle, nobody davens in the aisle. Okay, they started Chazar Sashatz, the repetition of Shemona Esrei. So I'm kind of leaning forward, I'm standing up, leaning forward on the shtender. They do Kedusha, and I'm leaning forward on the shtender. Amen, Baruch Hu, Amen, Baruch Hu. I'm wondering what Rav Chaim. Also, one of the kollel guys comes walking past, and he does like this with his head. He looks at me, goes. So I went. So he goes. Oh! It turned out I took Rav Chaim Kanievsky's shtender. Yes. Yeah. Anybody want a bracha? I took Rav Chaim Kanievsky. Oh boy, I'll tell you. And I really, because the whole time I'm thinking, why would I have a seat? Daven in the aisle? You don't daven in the aisle. I'm standing there at his shtender. Right? So then after davening, I felt really good, by the way. After davening, I walked over. I said in Hebrew, I'm sorry I took your place. He looks up at me and says in Hebrew, it's not mine, it's the kollel's. I said, I'm sorry I took your shtender. He says, it's not my shtender, it's a kollel shtender. Right? Now, he knows the halacha that you should daven in your makom kavua, right? He knows all the halachas, and he didn't tell me to leave the place. So just as a parenthetical, if somebody's ever sitting in your place in shul, there's a halacha you should daven in your place. But if you tell people to move, ask yourself why you're telling him to move. Why you're so worried about halacha. All of a sudden, if you're so worried about halacha, you wouldn't be coming to shul late. Right? So all of a sudden you're so worried about your makom kavua. You're worried about your makom kavua, so why are you coming in after you shtabach? All of a sudden you're so worried about your makom kavua. So that's the beauty of what Rachel does. Now, watch what Yaakov's reaction is. This is also a dandy. So it says in Pasuk Chavdal, Vayitein Lavan la ezilpa shivchaso l'leah bito shivcha, page 150, 3 lines from the bottom. Lavan gives Leah Zilpah, his maidservant, as a Zilpah, the maidservant, he gives it to her as a gift. There are those that say that was part of his bribe to her. When he pulled her aside, says, Leah, by the way, you're going in instead of Rachel. I'm sure Leah wasn't too happy about, I really don't want to be doing this, but I'm going to go in there, and he's going to, here, I'll give you a Zilpah take a Zilpah, right? There is such an opinion. Now look at this. Vayihi boker, V'nei Leah. In the morning, it turns out she's Leah. Vayomer Lavan, 2 lines from the bottom. Yaakov says to Lavan, Mazos asisali, what'd you do? Halo barachal avadati imach. I worked for Rachel. V'lamari misani, why did you deceive me? Vayomer Lavan says, Lo yasa kein bim kamein. God, we don't do that thing here. Lo say satzir lifnei, let the younger one marry before the older one. I'll tell you what, Malaysia was those. Wait a week, and then we'll give you the other sister, and then you work another 7 years for the second sister. And what does Yaakov say? Nothing. Vayas kein Yaakov. Yaakov does it. He waits a week, works 7 years. He waits a week, marries Rachel a week later, and then he works 7 years for Rachel. I mean, imagine you were Yaakov. And you come over to Lavan and you say, hey, why'd you deceive me? And Lavan says, well, I'm sorry, we have a custom here. We don't let the younger sister go before the older sister. What would your reaction be? You know, you could tell me that 7 years ago. Oh, you just remembered now the night at a wedding. I mean, and Yaakov didn't say a word. Why? Isn't that interesting, right? It doesn't say a word. So the Beis HaLevi says, he's so good. Lavan is so good. He is really. I've always admired Lavan. Lavan has been the guy in the Torah I've always associated myself with, especially whenever I played Monopoly, I always thought of I was Lavan. I was always banker in Monopoly. My brother didn't like that. I was banker. He somehow, I felt I should take quarterly bonuses, and somehow he didn't. There was always accusations of financial misappropriations. In other words, him calling me a dirty cheater, which I'd like to say wasn't true, but I'm on film. So so Lavan is so good. You know what he's saying to Yaakov? Watch this. Yaakov comes over and says, hey, why'd you cheat me? So Lavan says, look at that top page, 152. Now let's read the pasuk the way Lavan said it. I read you the pasuk the way I read it. Now let's read what Lavan's really saying. Vayomer Lavan, lo yeyase kein mim kamenu. We don't do that in our place. Lo say satzir lifnei bechira, to let the younger one go before the older one. Maybe where you come from, younger ones take things that are really entitled to the older one. Maybe where you come from, younger brothers steal brachas from older brothers and sneak and deceive. We don't do that around here. He has said Yaakov is blocked in 2 directions. What's he going to say? Oh, well, I didn't. You did. What's he going to say? But I had to because it was a mitzvah. I got my mitzvahs also. And for me, it was a mitzvah for you. It's a mitzvah for me. And it's such a good line. You just, like you call, burn. What can you possibly say? You're blocked in both directions. What a phenomenon. If it's okay for you, it's okay for me. And if it's not okay for me, so why did you do it? And what could Yaakov say? All right, they'll have to work for you another 7 years. Isn't that gorgeous? That's how he pulls the rug out for him. Lo yeyasa kein bim kamenu. In our place, we don't do things like that. Lo say satzir lifnei bechira. Ooh, ooh, pain, right? And therefore, Yaakov's got no answer. Okay, take a look a little further on.
So is that like karma?
I mean, what does karma mean exactly? What goes around comes around. See, in life, I don't know if I would call it karma. Is usually something we leave with HaKadosh Baruch Hu to take care of that. No, it looked like it happened. It looked like it happened, but I don't know. It doesn't say anywhere that this was a divine punishment, because what Yaakov did was appropriate. But it was certainly that Yaakov needs to marry both of them. This is the way it's brought about. There's a divine plan in Yaakov marrying both of them. So it's brought around. But there is an idea of karma. What you call karma, we call mida keneged mida. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu does pay. Whatever you do in life, you get back. There's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos that says, Hillel saw a skull floating in the water. Af hu ra'agu golas shetzafa al pnei hamayim. Hillel saw a skull floating in the water. Omar la, Hillel says to the skull, al da'ateft atfuch. Because you drowned others, you were drowned. The sof mitafayach yuduv, and the end of those who drowned you is they themselves are going to be drowned. So Hillel over there is teaching this idea, because it's not literal, because there are plenty of people who drown other people, and they don't get drowned, and there are plenty of people who do the drowning, who died of drowning without having drowned somebody else, right? But Hillel's telling you a principle. If you were sitting at the park and a kid got beaten up by a bully, and then the kid walked home and he called his big brother. His brother then came back, and his big brother then beat up the bully who beat him up. How would you feel if you're sitting there watching it? If you saw this take place, how would you feel? I feel warm in the heart. Good. Yeah. And certainly if you saw a guy standing by the lake, grab somebody's head, submerge him in the water, and drown him. The next thing you know, another hand shoots out, grabs him, and drowns him. How would you feel? Well, listen, that's the way it works in life. So Hillel is only telling you, obviously in Hashem's plan, we don't see it so obviously, but just realize it's there. It's there as precisely measured as if we had seen a drowner get drowned. That's what Hillel is saying. I remember reading about there was a guy, a mafia guy. You know, every once in a while you read these mafia guys get shot up. That guy lived a life of violence, and he died. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. But every once in a while they die peacefully at home in bed. So what happened? The answer is, don't worry, he's going to get it too. He'll get his. He'll get his. God will give him and has given him and will give him what he deserves. I remember there's a guy, Tony Big Tuna Accardo. Ever tell you about Tony Big Tuna Accardo? Tony Big Tuna, I just remember he disappeared. He was a mafia chieftain. I read quite a bit on the mafia in my teens. It was at one point it was a career option, and I was very intrigued by the mafia. And what do you call it? So Tony Big Tuna Accardo disappeared. He's a big mafia chieftain from New York. He disappeared. Then they found him 3 days later, dead in the trunk of a car. I just remember thinking at the time. I was thinking, yep. The tuna ended up in the can. They found big tuna in the trunk of a car. Right? That's what happens to mafia people. What goes around, that's karma. That's karma. What goes around comes around. I think that's what they call karma. So that is definitely a principle in Torah. Okay? Now, take a look at Perik Lamed Pasuk Chaf Daled. Perik Lamed Pasuk Chaf Daled. Yeah, Leah has children. I'm just going very quickly. We want to start the next parsha tomorrow. Rachel finally has children. And take a look on page 156. Page 156, Pasuk 22. Vayizkor Elokim es Rachel. God remembers Rachel. Vayishma Eleh Elokim, God heeds her cry. Vayiftach es Rachman, he opens up her womb. Now, take a look at Rashi over here in Pasuk 22. Look what Rashi says. God remembered Rachel. What does it mean, God remembered Rachel? So it's 4 lines from the bottom on the right column on page 152. Vayizkor Elokim es Rachel. Zochar lo shemasra simanei lachoseh. He remembered that she gave the signs to her sister. God remembered what she did, and therefore he paid her back. Now, you have to realize over here, gentlemen, you see, there are two very important lessons here. Lesson number 1 is, and this is your karma, nothing goes unpaid. Nothing is going to be forgotten. You did it. You know how long has elapsed since that incident? 14 years. It's been 14 years. And 14 years, and she still hasn't had children. 14 years ago you did something, now you're going to get it. Never give up. Nothing is unpaid, nothing goes on. We don't know when, we don't know how, but it doesn't go to waste, number 1. Number 2, what would have happened if Rachel wouldn't have given up the signs? She would have been barren, and they had no merit. So it actually worked in her favor what she did. Because she gave up the signs. Yaakov, if she would have married Yaakov, wouldn't have children, Yaakov would have married Leah anyway. And then Rachel wouldn't have had, she would have had a co-wife, and she wouldn't have the children anyway. Now she's got the merit. Because of what she did at the time was so difficult and you gave up of yourself, yeah, but in the end, that was your merit. That was exactly what you needed in order to be able to have children down the line. Nothing goes away. I told you about that story about the guy. There was a group of Italian soldiers were taken prisoner by some German soldiers in World War I. And the German captain decided he wanted to not. He said, take the guys out to the forest and shoot them. We don't want to schlep around a bunch of Italian prisoners. So one of the German soldiers, a Jewish guy, he says, no, sir, we took them prisoners. We're not going to go shoot them in cold blood. So the guy got upset with him, and he insisted we're not doing it, and they kept him alive. All right, after World War I, a few years later, this Jewish guy emigrated to the United States, actually went to live in Chicago, and he started working as a glazier. He made glass, made windows. One day he's driving in Chicago, this is in the 20s, he's driving in Chicago, and he sees there's a house that had a fire. And they discarded all the glass from this house. It's a big pile, all the black glass that the fire was. So the guy spends the day, he brings his wagon, he loads up all this glass onto his wagon. He's loading up all this glass. And at a certain point, his hands were filthy from all the soot. He figured he'll take the glass, he'll be able to do something with it, take it to the factory. So he loads up in the wagon, and his hands are filthy. So he walks into this house, and he turns on the faucet to wash off his hands, and instead of water coming out of the faucet, beer came out of the faucet. Turned out this was a bootlegging operation in Chicago during the time of Prohibition. Why do you think people from Chicago are always so upbeat, right? There's beer. He turns on the faucet, and out comes beer. And it's like, why, it's a bootlegging operation. So he turns to leave, and two guys grab him and say, you ain't going anywhere, buddy. To the locals, to the guys from the operation, they can pull him into a room full of Italians. Said, okay, we're going to have to take him out to the forest and knock him off. We can't have a guy walking around who knows about our operation. This is time for Al Capone, good Chicago bucker. He says, we can't have this guy walking around. So the guy says, okay, let's take him out to the forest. We'll knock him off. One guy says, well, we better ask the boss first. The boss ain't going to like it if we don't do something without asking the boss. So they call in the, Big Snake Rizzo, whatever his name is, and they call him and say, boss, we got this. Guy says, knock him off. So the boss comes down to meet the guy, and he looks at him and says, you look familiar for somewhere. He says, I don't know. He said, where are you from? He says, Germany originally. He says, were you ever a soldier? He says, yeah, in World War I was a soldier. Did your platoon ever capture a platoon of Italians? He goes, yeah, as a matter of fact, we did. He says, weren't you the guy who said to let them go? He says, yeah, I was one of those Italian soldiers. He saved my life, boys. We're not going to kill him. That's karma. Okay? He saved my life. We're going to let him go, but he ain't going to talk, right? No, talk. Only Aramaic. No talking for me, right? That's what goes around comes around. It's never wasted. Okay? I want to show you one last point. Rachel has a child, and then I want to show you one last point. This is one of the most, I remember I heard this 30 years ago, and it gives me the goosebumps every time I think of it. Take a look on page 160. So Yaakov works, they have a whole episode there, how he produced all these sheep, and how the shtick he pulled, and so on and so forth, and he becomes a wealthy man. And I'm posted page 160, right in the middle of the page. You see that big Lamed Aleph in the column? Chapter Lamed Aleph, verse 1. Okay. Vayishma es divrei b'nei Lavan. Yaakov hears the words of Lavan. Lemor, lokach Yaakov is kol avinu. Yaakov's taken all of our father's stuff. Me'asher lavinu asa es kol hakavod hazeh. Yaakov made all his money off of our father's stuff. And then, look at the next passage. Vayar Yaakov es b'nei Lavan. Yaakov sees Lavan's face. Lavan's face isn't like it used to be. Meaning that when Yaakov first come, how did Lavan greet him? He was all smiles, welcome, my nephew is here. He's hugs and kisses. And all of a sudden now, when Yaakov's a wealthy man and Lavan's going, he's up and Lavan's down, Lavan doesn't look quite so cordial. Yaakov said, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. I take one look at Lavan's face, it's not the same face, I better get out of here. So I heard from Rabbi Shlomo Twersky years ago, said like this, you know what's really been going on here? When Yaakov first arrived, 20 years previous, Yaakov takes one look at Lavan, sees the guy. He's got no good written all over his face. He's a lowlife. He's a sneak. He's a cheat. It's all there. 20 years later, Yaakov looks at his face. It's not the same face. Doesn't look so bad. Time to go home. Time to go home. If Lavan doesn't look so bad anymore, then it's time to leave. Because something's changed. When you were totally objective, you took a look at it, and it looked no good. Every single person in their life, I'm sure you've had something at some stage, sometime, where you've said, I would never do that, I would never wear that, I would never drink that, I would never snort that, I would never be involved in it. Something that you've said I would never, and then sometime later, a week, month, year, or something, you're doing it. What changed? Not the thing. Because when you took a look at it objectively, you said, that's no good, that's possible, that's strafe. If all of a sudden it's not so bad, so what changed? You changed. We all go through that. That's what the Torah teaches you. Take one look at Lavan. You take a look at Lavan. This is a lowlife, a no goodnik. Every value known to man he disposes with. All of a sudden, 20 years later, he doesn't look the same. Obviously, this isn't the plain meaning, but as a Musar lesson for us, it doesn't look the same anymore. Who do you think has changed? Time to go. Time to go. Change the locations. You need a recharge. That's what he's teaching you. And we've all been through this at some point. I'm sure we've all been through this at some point. Something that you said I would never, and then you found yourself that, you know what, it's not so off. That means you've changed, not the thing. Because when you were objective, you saw the thing for what it really was. Guy told me he had a friend who went to college. He said, a friend went to college, he said, I'm not going to get swept up in university life and that kind of behavior. Guy was a clean-cut kid. Within 3 months, he was the biggest animal on campus. That's what he said. It means you haven't changed. It's changed you. Okay.